Transportation, your car may not be an option depending on what happens if a tornado rips up the roadway or a flood blocks the highway, for example. So you may need a bike, a scooter, skateboard, maybe a four-wheeler, maybe even a canoe or other watercraft depending on your area and your expected disaster. Remember, you're going to need to keep fuel on hand and you're going to need some stabilizer. I know I've said it a couple times, but it's worth bearing in mind. Otherwise your fuel is going to go bad and it won't be of any use to anybody, really. Might still be good for starting a fire, but it's not going to be very good for your engine. Clothing and mending supplies. For a long-term down situation, you're going to need a stockpile of clothing, undergarments, mending supplies, you know, patches, thread, needles, stuff like that. And of course a means to wash all this stuff. Now, another thing to consider is if you have young kids, well, they're going to grow up eventually. You may also wind up having a baby at some point in time too, and you know, he's not going to be able to run around the house naked all forever, so plan for clothing. It's something else that I think a lot of people under plan for. Backup power. Generators, they can be a great way to produce a high volume of pure power, but they make a lot of noise. They're subject to mechanical failure. They produce poisonous exhaust. They require fuel, and of course they can be stolen. Solar and wind are quiet. They're harder to steal. They don't produce harmful exhaust, but they're less powerful. Wind power turbines, are, like generators, are subject to mechanical failure, and they need to convert the DC current that is produced by solar and wind into alternating current. And again, that you're going to need to consider if you want to go modified sine wave or pure sine wave too, if you start going that route. You're also going to need a battery array too for your solar or wind array for it to be really fully effective. Communication is something else to consider as well. Walkie-talkies, family band radios, they're definitely going to become essential, especially if there's no cell phones. CBs are dirt cheap on eBay, so you should get at least one of them. Additionally, hand crank radios, weather radios, definitely something worth getting, especially if you are in a high weather emergency area. Ham radios would certainly be a worthwhile investment too. And just another little tip, if cell towers are still working, but you're stuck in the middle of a major unfolding event, texting is probably going to be your best option because the voice lines are going to fill up really quickly. Usually text messages can still get through. Heating, this is going to, again, depend on your area, but eventually it's going to get cold, so you're going to probably want to get a couple extra blankets at least, keep a stockpile of fuel to heat your home and or shelter. For those of you that are burning firewood or think you're going to burn firewood anyway and have never done so before, I would advise you, you're going to need to stock up on that too, because it's going to require months for it to properly dry out in season, even if it's standing dead wood. So you're going to have to plan accordingly. And I'm pretty much going to wrap it up here, but additional considerations, food for pets and livestock. You know, something you're definitely going to have to consider. You might not have livestock now, but if everything falls apart, you might find yourself raising a couple of chickens, and you're going to need to know what to feed them. Additions to the family. You know, if things go down for a while, birth control is going to get used up, and you know, babies might start popping up on the way. So that's just one other thing to consider is, you know, stock up on maybe birth control, or at least you know, plan accordingly for the possibility of an expansion to your family. For wealth protection, if you are concerned about an economic disaster, which I think everybody is at this point in time, gold, silver, palladium, maybe platinum as well too, for wealth protection options. It's kind of expensive to get into it now. You really should have tried getting into it a while back, but you know, you can't always do that. So those are just a couple of things in a little bit more detail to consider if you're just starting out prepping. I hope you find it useful. It seems like a lot of things, and it is, but don't get overwhelmed by it, and certainly don't go out and prepare in a spirit of fear. The reason why you're waking up to what's going on and preparing now is because you are the exception to the law of statistics, I guess. You are someone that's actually on the ball, and the last thing you want to do is get off the ball and start freaking out. So never, like Such said, actually, Such said it during his speech in the Prepper Convention, is never prepare in a state of fear, or out of a state of fear, rather. And that holds true. It really does. So stay calm, use your head, just do it a little bit at a time, and you know, over the course of 6 months, you'll be amazed at how much stuff you accumulate and how much better you feel about it. So don't go out and try to do everything at once. You know, don't screw up your family income. Don't blow all your money just trying to do this kind of stuff, because there's also the possibility that everything will just be fine and we're all crazy. So yeah, I hope you guys dig it. I hope it's entertaining and useful and educational here for you, and I hope you keep coming back and checking out my stuff. Take care, guys. See you in another video.